My artist process is I have a very vivid imagination. I'm not so like good verbally, really, but like I can see things in crystal clear detail in my head. So I just get into a meditative state and just let the music take me places.
Okay.
And if I'm in the right mindset and I give it some time and to kind of get there, like the visions just come to
Gotcha.
me. And I just let my muses talk to me.
My name's Jim Ellis, and you're watching Industry Insights, where we bring in industry experts to share their knowledge and experience to the next generation of filmmakers. We're here at the Film Hub, a co-working space for filmmakers in the beautiful film-friendly city of Vista, California. And today our guest is Spencer Hord. Spencer is a director and editor for digital media content. He's also the founder of AWD Media, which produces content for entertainers and major corporations such as the Hyatt Hotel, Atlantic Records, Interscope, entertainers such as Kodak Black and Matt Mason. And so, well, welcome.
Thanks, Jim.
Good to have you here.
Glad to be here. Let's chat.
Yeah, so you've been moved to Vista recently, right?
I moved to Oceanside, like just general North County, 2021. Wife got pregnant mid-pandemic, and we just moved close to my parents and got out of LA,
Yeah.
So got closer to the beach, closer to family, and started renting from the Film Hub office space like maybe 6 months ago, maybe a little bit more. After the work from home stuff just was too much with the new baby. And
New baby,
yeah.
How exciting. How old is she?
She's almost 2.
Oh man, what's her name?
Yeah. Roxanne.
Roxanne.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I had 3 girls, so it's fun. You'll enjoy it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So keep going. Don't wait for another pandemic.
Working on it.
Yeah, good for you. And what's your tattoo say?
Oh man. It says, "I could learn from you." That's for Roxanne.
Oh, isn't that neat?
Yeah.
You will. That's pretty cool. You'll teach her a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand you grew up in the Riverside area.
Yeah.
How was that?
Inland Empire, Riverside. It was just idyllic suburb, 90s suburb growing up. I have 0 complaints about it. My only complaint is that it's kind of part of a generation where none of my peers ever wanted to go back, So everyone just kind of moved out, including my parents and all their friends. They moved to the beach. A lot are in Orange County, San Diego, all spread out. And it's just not even home anymore. It's kind of sad, but there's 18 years of my life. It feels like a different world.
Yeah.
Because just a lot of running around the neighborhood with my neighborhood friends, getting up to no good, and just be home before the sun's down and all is good. And it just I miss the simplicity of it. But
Yeah. Well,
I do like the beach too.
I
It's
do
not
love the beach.
115 in the summer, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice.
It seems like at some point in that 18 years, you decided that film was something you wanted to get into. How did you get inspired to do that? You went to school to USC, right?
Yeah, so a series of events just kind of happened in my life that I can't describe as much other than like divine intervention to lead me on this path. So I was very fortunate to know what I wanted to do early on. But, my dad had one of those home video cameras and I was about 8 years old and I just picked it up and something came over me, something powerful. And I just, bless his heart, I asked him if he'd let me play around with it. And I started shooting mostly documentary footage of my brothers for the first maybe couple weeks, but that quickly turned into short films about ninjas and pirates and just general just me and my brothers and the neighborhood boys. I was the middle child of three boys, so we got up to a lot of you know, funny stuff shooting these videos. And after that, it was just every time I had a chance in high school to like, there's a group project or something you're supposed to collaborate with your students on, I would always ask my teacher to say, can I do a video project? And so it would just be the guys in my class mostly, and we would just all come to my house or their house and we'd shoot videos about books, concept. I mean, we even like would do it in chemistry class. Like anytime I could get away with it, I would. And yeah, so I was, I just had this drive in me and things connected to where and a lot of the adults in my life got out of my way. So I was very fortunate in that regard.
Yeah. That's very interesting. It's kind of a mirror image of my own life a few years before you. At 8 years old, I picked up a Super 8 movie camera, and my father said, "Yeah, you can push this trigger and you can take this image home with," because we were in Europe, and I thought that was so fascinating that I could capture something and bring it home. And yeah, I mean, I believe God's called people to do things, and that's certainly a big deal.
Well, something like that. That film going through that camera, when you hear it, I didn't really get experience with actual like 8mm or 60mm film till I was in film school, but there's something very powerful about that shutter clicking open and just you hear that rattling.
It's pretty magical.
Yeah, I mean, you're capturing light onto celluloid and like immortalizing an image. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So at some point you decided that instead of working for somebody else, you'd want to start your own company. What was the motivation for that?
Oh, man. Well, I did the industry thing, like freelance PA just to get on set, and then it was just too much. Job to job, making like basically minimum wage and like gas mileage. You get to a point where that was right out of college after like an internship, and then I got on staff for a production company for a couple years, and then kind of, I call it, you just get hazed by the film industry. Like you just kind of have to put those 2 years in or whatever. But then after that, I went freelance again at a different level this time, making more money, had more options, more contacts, and then that kind of burnt out. And it was like, okay, it was me and my buddy from college who was working at Nike at the time up in Oregon. He was watching me do like my freelance thing, but also like my staff job thing. And I was always like shooting music videos on the side for like artists for free or getting budgets together wherever I could on my free time. And so I was just kind of building this reel, and we were always talking, collaborating. And then I, convinced him to move down to LA and just set up shop with me. And we just kind of, went for it from a more company vision perspective. And he was a lot of help in taking, all this producing I was doing and more, I was just kind of like free float producing, taking that away from me so I could focus on more creative stuff. And a lot of it was just pitching jobs and pitching ideas to these record labels or artists that we came in contact with.
How did you come in contact with people such as Atlantic or Interscope?
Just over the years, you find people who are working as hard as you at a similar level, above or lower, and you know when they're good people generally, or when they're working and you can learn from each other, and you're just always looking out for each other, or like a big opportunity came my way when another company in town that I had met through another one of my college buddies, like he was working with them. I had my own company with my buddy, and they just didn't have the bandwidth or time to pitch on this music video project. And it was a pretty big one. It was the biggest one yet. So they said, do you want to pitch on it? And I pitched on it and won it. Off the strength of the treatment and with help from some other collaborators of mine. And then after that, once your foot's in the door, you just got to nail it.
Right.
And then, you know, things pop open as long as you're persistent and grind at it. And then like, you just got to seize that opportunity when it opens.
So you're going to pitch to a record company and it's a particular artist. So in order to come up with a concept for that artist, obviously the song, you know, it's very driven by the song itself. But then what else do you look at when you come up with your concepts for a song?
You generally are either in the position where you're poaching artists yourself, like building relationships on social media or in real life or whatever. And then you can work that out with them their manager or whatever, you know, on a very personal level. But then there's another level where like my sales rep will send you in something that's already like a prepackaged, a log line, maybe of what they want, what the budget is. It's like a little one pager of like, here's the song, here's the general idea, you know, here's what the artist wants, here's the budget, here's when we want to shoot it, here's when, you know, it's due. So like sometimes there are constraints like that, but a lot of times it's just wide open. It's like, we just want as many ideas as possible. And we want you to run with the song. Here's the budget. The thing is, they're usually like, send us the treatment back like within 2 days. And it's like, no, you need a little more time. So you got to push back there. But if it's a tight deadline, just throw something on the page. It doesn't need to be a perfect treatment, I think.
I guess I'm asking more of on the creative side. You know, do you look at the artist himself and you go, well, I think he would like this for this particular song? I mean, you know, the whole feel.
Yeah,
what gives you that feel, or what do you look at?
So specifically, I'll give you my artist process and then like my producer brain process, which is probably more general for everyone. But my artist process is I have a very vivid imagination. I'm not so like good verbally, really, but like I can see things in crystal clear detail in my head. So I just get into a meditative state and just let the music take me places. Okay. And if I'm in the right mindset and I give it some time and to kind of get there, like the visions just come to me. And I just let my muses talk to me. Generally, but then there's the producer side of things, which is like, okay, what's the budget? Look at kind of the artist's career arc and see if they've stagnated in any way aesthetically. See if they've just kind of reached a certain part of their career where they've kind of found this image of who they are, and see what you can do with that. Play with the pop culture of who this person is, you know, think of it from as large of a perspective as you can, and either keep going in that direction if you think it's like really working, and you can usually tell if it is, or if it's, you know, maybe take a risk if it needs a little tweaking or an update. Like if they want to go in a new direction, usually that's usually in the pitch. There, like it's
a question you ask prior to starting.
You can ask a question, but you'll get in like from that initial email or conversations, you'll usually get an understanding that like they need a like completely out of box thinking. So that's always fun, but there is some value with being put in a box for sure. Keep things simple and see what you can do within your parameters.
Yeah, within the budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the biggest thing, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So the name of your company is AWD, how did you come up with that name? What does it mean?
That's a company that we've since dissolved, but it's still kind of my body of work and reel, but it stands for After We Dead, and it's just like we just want our work to live on
Okay, got it.
on the internet or something. It's we came up with it in like our mid-20s, and it's I like it. I like it, but it's just
Concept's
we've
good.
evolved past then. It seems like something we've put in the past, but we're still keeping the website up, and maybe we'll add some more work there another time. But
So what do you go by now?
right now, I'm just like a creative direction company. Since becoming a dad, I haven't been doing too much production, but I'm getting back more into it. And I just call my company, it's called Unusual Alchemy. Um, I like pushing more the idea that like the moving images are more like magic and alchemy than we're just so used to them that I think we get away from how amazing it is and powerful to be able to just see these things and watch them move.
That is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your role, or maybe your favorite role. Is it producing, directing, editing, writing?
Directing for sure, but I'm like a Swiss Army knife, man. I can do whatever I'm needed to do. Friend or creative or whoever needs my help, and they got that fire in their belly, I'll fit right in. I don't even care if I'm PAing on set, you know. I just like being around that energy and on set. But yeah, I mean, my whole life I've just pretty much been a writer, director, camera operator, and then like I realized later on, well, I've been producing all this stuff too. I just didn't really think of it as producing. So that stuff comes pretty naturally. The hardest things for me are the writing and editing. The writing is just, I don't do enough reading and writing regularly because I'm bogged down with other stuff that you kind of like, it's a muscle that you need to work out. And the editing, I mastered that at such a young age that kind of got tedious 5 years ago, and dealing with clients really burnt that passion out of me. And so I don't do much editing anymore, but I am seeing some like AI tools now that's exciting me again to just do editing experiments when I can. So yeah, there's something about the writing and editing that's tough for me because it's the same part of the brain. I mean, editing is just writing with moving images,
Right.
you know. So
Telling a story.
yeah,
writing is a challenge, and I think it's a worthwhile challenge because that's where everything starts. So
it's a bummer. I feel like that's what I started with. As a young kid, I was just always writing. Now I don't anymore. It's sad.
And so it's how do you work with clients as far as, I guess we kind of discussed it a little bit. You have an idea and then you have to collaborate with this. Let's take Hyatt Hotels, for instance. You went to, it sounds like you did a lot of traveling with your work.
Yeah. Luckily it wasn't too much. We did some like domestic, like healthcare work in Oklahoma City. And that was funny because there was like a tornado ice storm. Like it was just, I'd never seen weather like that. Our plane had to like try and land maybe 15 times until we had to get like, just skip the Oklahoma City airport and go up to Tulsa. So like we've done a bit of that, but like the biggest ones were like Korea for the Andes Hotel, and then Tokyo for Hyatt, some San Francisco stuff, some New York stuff, but a lot of it was music video stuff, and like some occasional just like corporate branded things we did in Colorado. Those were good. Those are like, if you can find a relationship with those type of clients, you should, because it's like, it's a lot more money than the music video stuff. It's just gonna get, you know, if you're doing music video stuff, it's way more exciting. But that's like, it was always cool when you were traveling on that stuff because you're just not at home and
Yeah,
You
it's
get to meet new people.
pretty stimulating. Yeah,
Yeah,
mentally.
see different parts of the world and the country is always a fun time.
Tell us about a project perhaps that had unexpected challenges and how you kind of dealt with them.
Oh, this one, Galantis featuring a OneRepublic. I forget what the song title's called, but there were some good things and some bad things about that. We bit off more than we can chew with the concept. We pitched all the characters in it were going to be 3D CG. We shot at Castle Park in Riverside. The whole concept was like theme park at night. These like skeleton creatures come alive, and it's like a skeleton party when the sun goes down at this theme park. And I mean, we hit it. We did what we could, and we got the concept going. But like the amount of pressure that the label and their timeline put on us, like we only had two guys doing the whole CG, and they did a phenomenal job, and I just assisted them. I became their assistant, as a director producer. I just was like their intern basically the whole time, helping them because it wouldn't have gotten done otherwise. And they were just I think it was up for like 60 hours at one point, and just like it's just bad. All this pressure, all this money being thrown around for like these post-production deadlines. And that's how it gets sometimes, but you just hope the project is really good at the end of it. And to be honest, it's not an artist I really care for, and the song is just like didn't really hit me like I wanted it to, but we won the concept and it was a good budget, so we did it. And I wish I would have told myself to like lower your expectations, kind of scale back a little with this concept.
Keep it a little simpler.
Yeah, because you go into it shooting one way, and then it's like, wait, we have this post-production timeline. There's one scene in it that should have been actually the whole video, and I just didn't see it because I was so caught up in the rest of the concept. And we shot in this black light. It was like a haunted mansion black light roller coaster within the theme park. It could have been the whole video in that. Because the way the CG looked in it, it was just like the lighting was perfect. The way our DP shot it, it had everything it needed to be. Like it's this fully contained thing, and I just didn't see it at the time. But the cool part about that project is we use like new technology for motion capture to get these skeletons moving and dancing, and it's just a suit that came out about 8 years ago or something. Rokoku is the company, I think.
Yeah, I remember it.
And you just wear the suit, and we had, after we were done shooting, we brought in some like dancers and body doubles and like people to just like have fun in the suit, and we just, it just maps their motion into your computer through the sensors on the suit. It's imperfect, but we learned as we went, and we had our CG wizards to help guide it, and they're really cool. Those guys. I hope I work with them again.
So do you? Well, that kind of answers the question. Do you always work with the same people?
I got a few DPs I really like working with. I'd say generally that's how it goes with directors. Yeah, you just either click personality wise, or you have a history with them. It's just they're always so busy, so you got to try new people when they are as well. And I generally have had good experience with most people.
But you were the skeleton video. You were the producer on it. Is that what
director?
Director. Okay.
Director did some producing, and on that one, yeah, that was my role.
When it comes to the creative side, what keeps you motivated? What inspires you?
It's a good question. I mean,
for me, it's music. I put on some songs that I really like.
Yeah. Music does a good job. Honestly, just seeing I look at a lot of, just from research, I look at a lot of cinematography references and stills. I mean, that's all it really takes. Just see what the top, the highest level is doing. The bar. I mean, right now the bar is probably like, I'd say Denis Villeneuve, who just did Dune. He did Dune, Arrival, Blade Runner. That's the bar. You know, that stuff inspires me to kind of reach for that. To
As a
kind of
director.
reverse engineer how they did these shots, and watch, you know, with him specifically, how his atmosphere that he builds. It's extremely powerful. You know, how he shot Dune,
The order of images.
how he shot Arrival, even how he shot Sicario and Prisoners. You know, I mean, it helps when you're working with Roger Deakins, but you know, his stuff is really solid. So people like that, especially like who weren't around 30 years ago, like the Coen brothers or Spielberg, you know, these kind of newer faces who are just raising the level of like movie theater quality stuff.
Right. Tell me about a job that significantly contributed to your growth, perhaps as a director.
Well, there's the one I just said. That one kind of was demoralizing, though. Let me think of. Oh, there was one I did for this Australian like electronic group called Hermitude, and the one for Matt Mason was a spin-off project he did called User X. These two were more building a world that feels like it's part of a feature film, and it's you're placing them in a situation, setting, and world with, like, you have the production design budget for it, you know, you found the right location for it. You know, those felt like this is part of a movie, you know, that's how I was envisioning these worlds. I was thinking of, like, what's the first act, second act, third act of this whole movie, and let's just place them in this one location, and let's get a bunch of scenes around it that are just like loosely connected.
And that's for a music video?
Yeah, both of those were music videos, which is cool. It's a cool way to explore the medium, because it really does elevate you as like a producer, director, everything. You know, you should be forcing concepts. You know, if you have the leeway to ask for more money, you should be forcing concepts that require an art department budget. Because if you don't have a good location budget and set dressing budget, like, you're just not going to build anything that is unique. Like, you're not. So that's what a lot of people miss, is it's not all camera. It's not all camera and lighting, you know, and talent. You know, a lot of the talent is the heads of the departments. And, you know, shout out to, you know, Lauren, your daughter. It's very important to put things in front of the camera.
Right. Like this beautiful set we're sitting in here. Right?
Exactly. Like, inanimate objects have character too, and they should be treated as such, you know?
Yeah, I think putting yourself in a position where you're working with some high caliber people, that's how I've learned a lot too. Just watching how they've disciplined their lives in this industry. Yeah,
and on that note, getting a first AD that is really solid is does so much. Like, you don't even realize how big of a crutch you had until you have, as a director, you have a proper first AD, and you just let them be kind of like the set drill sergeant, so you can kind of stay in that more quiet space in your head and talk to the people you need to talk to, and let your heads of department run with it. But you also gotta be able to tell them when they're not getting it right, because it's just not gonna be it's not gonna be good for anyone. It's gonna piss them off more. You might think it's you're stepping on their toes or something, but they want to execute the vision. Like they're going to be more mad if you didn't talk to them about it and steer them in the right direction than the other way.
Yeah, I think anybody worth their salt will take direction, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what kind of messages we want to leave for the next generation of filmmakers who are eager to make a difference in this industry?
That's a good one because everything's changing so quickly. I will say, I'm assuming I'm speaking to like Zoomers and younger right now when I say this right here, but the eyeballs are on the smartphone now. They're on social media now. But the social media content, it sucks. You need to find ways to translate what's worked in the 20th century for films, because the language is kind of already figured out, and moving images have a language, period. Run with it, adapt it to the smartphone world, but right now what's going on social media is pretty much garbage altogether, but that doesn't mean their instincts to go to that are wrong. It just means you need to elevate it. And if you have the drive to get something shot on film and in a theater, you should go for it. But that's a dying, a dying way to go about things.
That's a whole different world.
That's a whole different world. That being said, if you lean more towards that stuff, you just got to think about where people are going to be viewing your stuff, and it's probably going to be on the, best case, you'll get something on Netflix or HBO, and that's definitely something we're striving for.
Yeah.
But I'm not very confident that the theater experience is going to be this mass public thing anymore. I hope it stays, but it just doesn't seem like it will.
I tell you, if it survived through COVID, I kind of feel like it's going to stick around for a while. I think people just like to get out of the house and go someplace with somebody.
It's true.
And the big screen certainly you shoot differently for a big screen, obviously, rather than a cell phone. So I'm with you. Hopefully it stays, and perhaps there's better ways to access it.
I think it'll stay. It'll just be more of a like art house type thing where it's more of a niche.
Which should be fine for indies.
I'm here for it. I'm gonna be going for the big screen. But I get it with the younger generation. Like if you see the value in the digital, computer screen smartphone world, stay there. That's where the eyeballs are, but with great power comes responsibility. So make sure it's beautiful and make sure you understand how moving images work.
Yeah. And I think that's a great piece that you brought up, is that, look, there's proven principles to this industry that have been proved out through almost 100 years. So learn those and apply them to get the greatest results.
Yeah, and steal from the best.
Yeah.
Every director, in the last 50 years has stolen from the previous generation, even their contemporaries. You can steal and adapt into that. That's kind of how you have things grow.
Yeah.
Into something new.
Sure. You can take just a riff, right, from a music piece and just develop a whole different song. But you've heard the riff somewhere before. Same thing with a visual.
Exactly.
In a film. So I think that's pretty good advice. Thank you. So thanks for joining us today. I think it was real valuable. And to learn more about what you're doing, where do people go?
I should post to my Instagram more. I stopped doing that, but just you just follow me on Instagram at Spence Hord, SPENCEHORD. That's where I'll be posting work when I'm mostly like work that I've directed in the future. That's where it'll go. Otherwise, I have a website. That's my first and last name, spencerhord.com.
Perfect. Good. The Film Hub, follow us on the Film Hub Inc. or visit our website at thefilmhubinc.com. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
The Film Hub. Inspire the creative. Ignite the world.
Bye.